You have the time to reply to it. Don't put that shit off like I do. Seriously, don't put that shit off like I do. Which brings me to the next thing. Finding other people like yourself. So Gage, you pointed this out to me and I had no idea. I wasn't even aware of this, but this is very, very similar to how we were talking about on Twitch, is not finding a game that's too large. Basically, when you're on Twitter, you're trying to find other people, correct? You're trying to connect to other people, but you don't want to get like, I'm not going to go up to Elohim and be like, yo, Elohim, how are you doing? And follow him on Twitter when he has no idea who I am. Although Elohim does know who I am, I think, sort of. So tell me about like what we should be looking for when we're actually going out and hunting down other people so we can build our following.
Okay, so what I always like to do is I always like to check a person's ratio. So, for example, your ratio, Ashley, on Twitter is incredible. It's really high following versus a really low amount of followers like that you're following.
Basically, I'm just a prude, though. I'm just a prude. I don't follow anyone else. I just like, you guys follow me around. I don't follow you. I'm just kidding, though. Continue.
But yeah, it's pretty much that. Like I knew right away that I would have to whitelist Ashley in my following list so I didn't accidentally unfollow you. Because I usually don't. I usually wait about 5 days for a person to follow me back, and if they don't, I do that grimy unfollow kind of thing. But unless I specifically know them and want to get them to follow me back, like such as Ashley or the Hunter Wild, things like that.
Okay, so you have like a whole is that a bot thing that you have that automatically unfollows them if they don't follow you back, or do you actually go through and like, I followed this person, they didn't follow me back?
Yeah, exactly. I have to manually do it. I have to go in and I have to unfollow every single person who hasn't followed me back. And it's not because I don't like what they're doing or their content or anything like that. It's basically just because my ratio is already so high that my followers to following is almost the same. It's a little bit higher on the followers side, but I have to make sure that I have to keep that number lower than the people that are following me.
How important is that ratio though on Twitter? Like I had no idea that the ratio would mean a lot, but now that I think about it, if you're looking at someone else on Twitter, you're looking at there's a lot of those random people that you follow and like, who the fuck is this? And you look and they're like, they have no one following them. They have like 100 people following them, and they have like, they're following like 60,000 people, and you realize that it's a bot or something like that. So yeah. How important is that ratio though for like a normal person?
Like the everyday average user that's not really doing it for like streaming or anything, like the ratio doesn't matter. It only matters when you try to follow over 2,000 people, because it'll stop you because your ratio is not good enough.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah.
So Twitter actually has like a built-in thing to prevent you from like following way too many people.
Exactly.
I did not know that. Okay, well that's really interesting. Especially considering that like you basically have to maintain that. Now, is it 2,000 over top of who is following you, or is it just like 2,000 period?
It's 2,000 period at the beginning. It's really weird because like at the beginning it's 2,000. Like if you just started a Twitter account today, you could follow up to 2,000 people today. And that would be it. You'd be maxed out. You wouldn't be able to do anything after that, unless you got 2,000 followers. And then once you hit 2,000, you could then add more people.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. But here's the thing that I had no idea that you kind of went through and unfollow people to maintain that ratio. So basically, what you're looking for though is you're going around Twitter and you're like, hey, this person is about my size. And if I follow them, maybe in the next 5 days or the next week or so, they'll just automatically follow me back as like a favor. Like I slap your ass, you slap mine, sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, but it's a little bit different because I go in and I actually check a lot of these people's profiles. I see what they're about, and that comes back to the DM thing when they message me back and say like, hey, what's going on? So then I can talk to them about what it is that they're doing. So it doesn't seem like I'm just some nobody that doesn't know anything about them. So I've actually gone to their profile. I've looked at what they do. If they're a streamer, I ask them how their stream's going, what, like how that's all happening, how long they've been streaming for, things like that. Because I'm always interested. I always want to know what people are doing, how they're doing at it, and things like that.
Okay. So basically, like, the big thing that you're looking for is engagement. Like, not only just a follow back, but engagement, because that, I mean, just from Twitch standpoint, everyone here knows that, like, if you have someone new that's coming to your stream and they say hello, one of the first things you want to do is say hello back. And that also reminds me that a lot of the people that are coming in right now, I'm not saying hello right now because we're doing this very special segment and we're going to be exporting this to YouTube and all this other stuff. But one of the very important things while you're streaming is saying hello to other people. And that carries over to Twitter as well, where if somebody does follow you or you follow them, you want to engage them as well, because that could be somebody that becomes a loyal follower. So let's talk about actually how can we tell if we're actually doing good on Twitter, because you mentioned to me that my ratio is good, but there are some good rulers to find out, hey, we're doing good on Twitter, right? Like, you mentioned a few to me. One of them I already used, which is analytics.twitter.com. That new addition to Twitter is really fucking fantastic. I love the monthly recap that says, hey, you did really good on, like, this tweet. And I'm like, I feel like I did good, guys. But tell me about which ones you use.
Okay, so with analytics.twitter.com, it's the main one I use. It's just to give me my overview, see how my last 28 days have been going. I use it constantly to see which tweets are leaving the biggest impressions, which ones are the most viral, things like that. And then it gears my next month's tweets in a different manner, because I see the stuff that works during this month, and then I try to do better about that particular that style of tweet, and I'll try to recreate it but do it better next month. I've only been on Twitter for 6 months or 8 months now.
Yeah, your Twitter growth blows my mind. And if no one knows, how many followers do you have on Twitter, by the way?
Right now I have 4.3K.
Okay. And to give you guys an example, and the reason why we're bringing Gage in for about Twitter, and why, if you're wondering, like, why are we listening to this guy talk about Twitter, it's because his growth on Twitter was like my growth on Twitch. I got partnered in like 7 months of being on Twitch. Gage is basically, he has like 4,000 followers. That's 4,000 people who are potentially loyal to him and will come over to his stream every day if he lets them know about it on Twitter, because he grew so rapidly. In 8 months, he grew. And keep in mind, I've been on Twitter for a year and a half, and I only have like 1,400 or 1,700 or something like that. I still haven't even hit 2,000 yet. So he does know what he's talking about. He's grown absolutely rapidly. And one of the things that he was able to tell that he's growing rapidly, and that you mentioned before that about having a bot, you said Status Brew, and I've never heard of this. Tell me about Status Brew. What is this?
Okay, Status Brew, it used to be called unfollowers.com, but they've recently gone through rebranding. So Status Brew is how I find out who's unfollowing, and it also allows me to do this thing where it allows me to add a source. So I can put a source, so another person's Twitter page in there, and I can see all of their stats, all of their followers, all of their unfollowers. I can see everything that I can see on mine, but it's on theirs. And I use a lot of that to find new people that I should be following.
Oh, okay. So Status Brew is more than just getting a bot. It's how you find. It's another way of you finding other people that are similar size or even larger that could potentially help you grow faster on Twitter. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So like, is there more tools there besides just saying, hey, we're growing here, and recommending people, or like what else do you use it for?
So I use it for finding the unfollowers, and then I also use it for the source, like I just said, to find new people to follow. They do have an analytics, but it's not as detailed as Twitter's that they have already. There's the automate that allows you to add the bot and stuff like that. But I do pay for premium, so it doesn't say like at unfollowers.com or at crowdfire or whatever, because then it's like, it really just ruins like whatever it is that you're trying to say. Like, if you're gonna get a bot, pay for premium. Like that's the only way around.
How much does that cost you, by the way?
There's like cheaper ones, but I pay like $12 a month for multiple accounts.
Oh, okay. And if anybody's like, wow, $12 a month, remember back on the other segment that I said before, sometimes you guys spend money to make money, and that's what the stream is about. It's, if you're on Twitch and you're looking to just do this as a hobby, maybe some of the stuff here is not for you. But this is all about growing enough on Twitch to actually make profit, to make this a second job for you. So if you guys are like looking at this and going, what the fuck, $12 a month, so spend some money sometimes to make money. And growing on Twitter is one huge way to help your stream grow more. So let's actually talk about tweeting itself. You mentioned to me before, and I took this to heart, especially when I went to TwitchCon. When I went to TwitchCon, I tweeted out about, like, I was tweeting on the plane. I was tweeting every second I could until I got to TwitchCon. I forgot about it because I got so hyped about TwitchCon. But one of the things you mentioned to me was be fucking weird in your tweets. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, no, like, let yourself come out. Tell me about you mean more about be weird and more about, oh, Greg. So tell me about that.
Like, the weirder you are, pretty much the better. And that's being said because, like, whatever it is that you're doing on Twitter should be reflecting of, like, kind of who you are on Twitch. And I mean, Ashley, you're not, one of the most normal people. I figured you're a little weird.
You saying I'm a little weird?
Like the butt touches.
Come on, butt touches are amazing.
So I mean, like, let that show. Like let that show through. It's not just professionalism. It's about, like, being able to connect with more people, and if more people are seeing that you're doing, like, weird stuff, they'll be more apt to open up and do some weird shit too. You have an example if you'd like me to share.
Yeah, go for it, definitely.
So back in November, I was on Discord. I was talking to a bunch of my friends, and somebody said they were hungry, and I just said, like, eat some fucking raw oats. Like, just take a bag of instant oatmeal and just dump it in your mouth. And they were like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Did you challenge them to do that afterwards?
Yeah. So they said they were like, well, do it live. Do it live. Show us that you could do this.
We'll do it
and
live.
I basically
live. Yeah.
Went live for like 5 minutes. I dumped a bag of oatmeal in my mouth. It's not how you're supposed to do it, but then it just started this whole, like, challenge thing, and, like, everyone just started making GIFs of everyone's challenge. It went on for till January.
No,
people were still doing it.
Yeah, I know, and to a point where, like, I remember I wasn't, like, participating in it, but I remember that happening on Twitter. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is everyone dumping oats in their mouth? But to be honest with you, It was huge on Twitter for a bit. Like, it was all over my Twitter feed, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And I actually have a similar story for you. A really good friend of mine, Goobers515, if one of my mods wants to throw up his link, he's a growing star on Twitch as well. He's pretty fucking fantastic. He's very, very hyped. So if you guys love my stream, it's one of those other streams. It's very, very similar stream style as me. But Goobers is very interesting. Like, Goobers is actually potentially more hype than I am. And right around the time of TwitchCon, Goobers did this thing where he was talking, like, I think somebody, like, fell over or something like that, and they fell on their back, and they're like, this is how I network, and he basically just spread his legs and, like, was humping the air. And it was ridiculous. Like, what do you mean that's how you network? And of course, sex sells and all this other stuff. But it started this whole trend of hashtag networking, where basically he was on Twitter, and he's amazing at Twitter as well, where he's on Twitter and basically saying, all these people, like, show me how you network. And it basically started this whole trend of basically people, like, twerking as, like, their networking. And it literally worked. Like, I mean, to a point where, yeah, to a point where you're like, wait, how is this not working? Until you realize it's actually working. The number of tweets that I saw on Twitter of people literally, like, humming the air while on their back was ridiculous, and it was funny and all this other stuff, but it spread throughout Twitter rapidly, and Goobers became like an overnight sensation on Twitter because of that. I mean, he already had a decent following enough to get it started, but Goobers is hilarious, and doing anything where it's fucking weird like that can really help you grow rapidly. So definitely words to take to heart is be fucking weird. Seriously, guys, it works. Which brings me to being consistent, right? You said this is one of those things. You said be weird, but weirdly consistent. Explain.
Yes. So like, don't just like leave Twitter for like a week or like a few days. Like you just constantly check it, constantly make sure that you're up to date on everything. Like if you get notifications, look at them, see if you have to reply, see if you have to do anything like that, see if it deserves a retweet like immediately. Like it's so important because people think that you might not be paying attention, or like it's a lot of people check to see if you're active as well on Twitter, and if they are those types of people, they will unfollow you because you're not active enough on Twitter.
Yes, and I think that's one of my problems on Twitter, to be honest with you. Like basically the only thing I've used Twitter up to this point was the time where I was when I went to TwitchCon and I tweeted about TwitchCon, which was honestly one of the biggest growths I've had on Twitter. And then the other thing that I use it for, all I really use it for, is to let people know when I'm streaming. Which, to be honest with you, it works in a way. It's like, it's like find out any updates about the stream, like if I cancel the stream or something like that. But it needs to be more than that. It needs to be a way to where people are able to connect with me. And if I'm not tweeting out anything besides, hey, my stream's starting in six hours, no one's going to pay attention to it. They're just going to skip over it like everything else. So if I'm consistent with just tweeting about some generic stuff, as long as it's weird and it's interesting, tweet about what's interesting, right? But as long as you keep doing it, that's the big thing.
Exactly.
And speaking of tweeting about interesting things, the one way to make things interesting on there is putting on images, right? Like, I mentioned this before about tweeting about your stream. Include an image of whatever game you're about to play. But the same thing goes with just generic tweets. Using any sort of images or GIFs especially, literally, or GIFs, however you say it. We've had this debate before. But using any sort of images at all is eye-catching, and that's what you want. You want other people to look at it, favorite it, retweet it, whatever. So talk to me more about like how important that is. Like, what do you see difference-wise?
So I have a whole folder that's basically all just GIFs. Like it's like 500 megabytes of just GIFs that I can use for any situation, any emotion, any kind of thing I need to show that I can't just use words for. So sometimes I won't even post words in some of my replies. I'll just send them a GIF because it's just, that sums it up. And sometimes it can be more powerful than even writing words because the GIF has so much more in it, and it's more involved, and people feel like like they imagine you doing that as like as if you were doing that in real life as response to their post.
Okay. So like, do you ever like create your own images to make for Twitter? Like, do you ever go in like Photoshop and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So that's a big part of why I have grown so much, is because most of the stuff that I do post is original content. It's emotes that I've made on stream, or it's the memes that I do, or I'll screen cap any of the streamers that I watch, and I'll put them in terrible situations, or just something funny, and I'll tweet it at them, and they usually it's a lot of fun, and people retweet, and it's awesome. Like Valentine's Day, I made like 25 cards for people that I like watching, or some of the viewers.
Yes, you made one for me, and it was like flattering as hell. Like it was like Thor coming in with like a giant blue hammer and shit, and I was like, what? This is awesome. It was amazing. But that's one of the things I wanna. Some people in chat are probably wondering, like, what happens if I suck at this? Like, I'm not good at making art. I'm not good at Photoshop or GIMP or whatever. We're gonna talk soon about mods, and this is one of those things. Find yourselves either somebody you can trust, a friend, or more importantly, a mod who is good with art. If you suck at it, find someone else who is good at it. Like if you're looking to hire mods or looking to bring mods onto the team, there's a ton of people who want to help you succeed, especially on Twitch. And if you can have somebody who can literally make images for you or help out with that sort of thing, definitely do. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, this entire presentation would not be possible without the amazing mods that I have. They helped pick out the images, they helped make the slides and everything like that. So definitely when we get to that section, we're going to cover that in depth. But that's one of the things, like, hey, I suck at this. You have other people that can help you. So definitely look into that as well. What else do we have? You were talking about earlier, like